Alright, so this is another installment of SP's gun overviews. I got a little bit of a cold, so bear with me, guys. It's one of those summer colds, and it really fucking sucks. But whatever. Yeah, this is gonna be a 2-for-1 special. This is gonna be over the CZ's excellent pistol. I'll just go ahead and spoil it for you out of the way. It's got some flaws. I'll talk about them. But very good pistol overall. It's definitely my most favorited handgun I own currently. And the TLR3 is pretty good for like a subcompact light that can fit on full-sized or any of them, which is why I got it. I wanted to be able to switch it between my P10S and my SP01 Tactical here. Alright, so let me take this gun apart and we'll discuss some things about it. Alright, so we got it disassembled. You can tell this is a pretty simple pistol. I mean, field stripped. It's not completely disassembled. I didn't take the fucking magazine retaining spring and then the fucking mag catch spring and the coil spring that powers the hammer. I didn't take all of that. That's the only downside to these double single action style military pistols, is they do require a little bit more springs and parts than, say, a striker fired gun. But I do believe there is a trade-off there, and there is some things this gun brings to the table that striker fired guns generally don't. And there's some things I love about it. And there's some things I don't like about it, which is, let's get started with the slide here, right? This is the biggest thing CZ needs to update right here. This little, if you can see this fucking pin, it's a roll pin. This is not the factory roll pin, and you'll see some idiot marks where I accidentally fucked up the finish a little bit before I got the proper tool to get the original factory roll pin out. Now, the reason why you want to replace the factory roll pin with like a $8 Cajun Gunworks tempered roll pin is because the factory roll pin has a service life of 5,000 rounds. That's what I believe CZ states, if I remember correctly. Now, that's fine and all, but there's a better way of doing this. They could do like they used to do and have a back plate that secures the firing pin instead of this roll pin. I get it acts as a shock absorber, so it prolongs the firing pin's life, and that's a much more expensive part. But that's the thing they need to improve. If they were to come out with a new Gen 2 CZ75B or whatever, SP01, it needs to have a better retaining system for the firing pin. Although this is fine, and I've not had any problems with it. I just did not like the factory pin. I heard some scary stories about it, so I fucking just went and got a Cajun Gunworks pin and put it in. It's pretty easy to install. You let the hammer down all the way, of course, after making sure the gun's unloaded. Don't be a retard. And then you simply use the pressure that the hammer is putting on the firing pin to put it in position to pop the old pin out and put the new one in with a 3mm roll pin punch. But yeah, that's my biggest problem with this pistol. If it's a 9 out of 10, if this problem goes away, it's a 10 out of 10. All right. We can see inside how this works. There's the firing pin block. I believe when they went to this style of retaining pin, they had to, that's why, is because this firing pin block did not agree with the way the firing pin was held on. So I believe that's why they changed it when they went to the B model, CZ75. You can see the locking lugs, or the recesses where they lock. A CZ forges the slides and then machines them. So these are very high quality forgings. This gun it'll break a bunch of springs and stuff, but the major parts should not have problems, like over 300,000 rounds of 9mm. And springs can be simply made. You know, any machine shop can probably produce some if they're competent. Yeah, so the slide is pretty good. You can see it comes with these Israeli, I believe, True Dot night sights, and I do like them. They're 3-dot though. I wish the rear was blocked out. I might do that myself. I don't know. I've debated putting an optic on this gun, having the slide machined for one, but I don't know if I will, because that's kind of, you know, I'd have to at least put a hollow sun on it, and that's another fucking $600, $700 once that's all said and done. And, you know, I'm usually carrying a rifle in the woods. This is my woods sidearm. Like, and that's the thing. If we're going to get into, like, the point of use of these guns, this is my wood sidearm. I can hit with it. I've made hits out to out to 50 yards with this gun, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm not the best shooter in the world. And so I feel confident, like if there was a wild boar attacking me, I would be able to get all 19 rounds into him at a distance before he could get up at me, if this is all I had on my hip for whatever reason, or a mountain lion, whatever. Also with 9mm, which this gun is, of course, 9mm NATO or Luger or Parabellum, whatever you want to call it. This is what ammo I carry for woods defense. This is Lee Defense Extreme Defenders. They're a copper solid fluted bullet, and these are plus P loaded. And the reason why I chose this over the incredibly good and well-performing Federal HST rounds is those are designed for personal defense against attackers, like someone's trying to fucking murder you. And they're designed to work really well against light clothing and stuff like that, and like human dense muscles, stuff like that. However, if you're dealing with like a 300 or 400 pound, very pissed off wild boar, his bones are going to be a little bit thicker, and maybe he has a fat shield that's a good bit thicker than people's, and maybe his muscles are a little bit denser. So I chose to go with a non-expanding round that hopefully would reach the vitals with 9mm every time, which is what really matters if you're trying to stop an animal, is how many holes you can poke in its vitals. I mean, nothing lives after getting holes poked in its vitals, generally, if there's enough of them. So let's get on to the barrel, huh? Now, I do not know if this is chrome lined, but I can tell you it is a cold hammer forged barrel, very high quality. There's the locking lugs. There's the standard non-polygonal rifling, which I do like, because if, say, like it's an end of the world scenario, I can use lead reloads in this fine, whereas with like something with a polygonal barrel, probably like the P10S or the Glock, it's going to fucking cause overpressure incidents if you don't clean it very regularly. This is another part that people complain about. Knock on wood, I've not had any fucking problems with these pins. People, ISPA shooters, people that compete in shooting competitions, they claim at about 40 to 50,000 rounds this part breaks often. And that's fine. It's just a cast, and that's a serviceable amount. Like Glocks will break springs at 50,000 rounds. Little parts like this are going to get broken. It's a handgun. But mine have been so far fine. Nothing's wrong with the slide stop pin or the slide stop. I do have an extra in case for whatever reason this one goes out ever. Even though if I shoot 50,000 rounds of 9mm, I'll certainly be able to afford to replace that. It's like a $30 part. A lot of people don't like the polymer recoil spring, but I know exactly why CZ did this as a machinist. This allows a lot more flexibility, like if you can see that. What's happening is this allows something to get into the recoil spring system, and this can just bend out of the way of it instead of binding like a metal one would and jamming the gun up. So I see why they did that. It's not just like a cost savings thing. There's a reason they went with a polymer guide rod. And the spring is fairly normal. Nothing to write home about. I believe it's a flat. Yep, it's a flat coiled spring. Feels sprung right for high pressured 9mm, which is what I'm shooting through it primarily. Now let's get to the frame, because we got some interesting things on the frame. Now this frame is cast. You see, CZ, way back in the day, if I'm going to get into a little history, they were forging frames, which is ideal. If we lived in a world where cost was not a factor, everything should be fucking forged. There's no reason it shouldn't be. Other than if you, obviously, you're in a war or something, and time's of the essence, but of manufacturing time. But these are cast now, and it helps reduce the cost, and that's fine. And it's tough enough. It's you can make the frame out of polymer, and it'll fucking hold up. So, obviously, cast steel will. You can watch, CZ does document a lot of their manufacturing techniques on their Facebook, and I believe they have a YouTube channel, which is pretty neat. I like that. It's neat to see that. It does have the famous internal slide rails, if you can kind of see how they go there. There's one there. There's one. That's another thing about this gun. People will say this gun has an extremely low bore axis. And for a hammer-fired gun, they are very correct. However, when compared to striker-fired guns like the Glock 17, they're around the same. But where people find the low recoil from CZs, and what I love about them personally, is the weight of the frame combined with the low mass of the slide. These two things combined basically make this gun have no recoil. And that's why it's very easy to get rapid hits at a distance with this gun, in my opinion, because of the lack of recoil. And yeah, so about the TLR, ooh, it's a little bright. Probably fucked up my. Oh well, it's 100 and I believe 30 lumens. I didn't want a super bright light for my woods gun because I don't want to blind myself in the woods at night or whatever. So I chose this, and I can swap it to my P10S whenever I'm concealed carrying or whatever. I got a holster that fits it. Speaking of which, I need to do reviews on holsters. That's coming. Eventually, I'll get to that. But the TLR3's been good. It's been rained on. It's been dropped off a fucking ATV on this gun accidentally. That's a story for another day. Retarded one. Don't let people. Yeah. Anyways. But it still works fine. Batteries last pretty all right. It doesn't have the greatest battery life. Like, I believe you'll get like 20, 30 hours out of, and they're pretty expensive batteries like most handgun flashlight. I believe these use the C203. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. They're the shorter ones. They're not the ones like Streamlight and Surefire fucking normal lights use. They're shorter. So they suck. I guess that's why they have a lower life battery. These grip panels, I like. They're rubber. The only thing I do not like about them, as you can see in kind of the CZ logo there, they collect sand and dirt like nothing else. Like, yeah, you can see that. And it's hard to fucking get out. They are very comfortable, and I do enjoy them. They're very, very nice and fat, and they got some palm swells. They got this shelf you can rest your thumb on. Very nice. I did replace the grip screws with older, just CZ75 grip screws because I like the flathead look. I don't know. Phillips head screws on guns just kind of bug me. I like military guns. They're fine on civilian guns like hunting rifles, but I do not like them on military guns, looking guns. I probably will be putting wood pistol grips on this gun, or grips on this gun eventually, and I want to put some kind of what's that shit they call it? Texturing, because it does have some texturing, as you can see on the back strap there and on the front strap. But it's not very deep. It's not very good. I'd like to put some grip tape or something on these two sides to add a little more roughness to it, and some wood grips, and I think it'd look super classy. I tried to do Bakelite with some aftermarket G10 grips, but I never could get the color to come out right with the paint mixture and the wood mixture or whatever. But I was using wood stain, and then you use several different shades of orange paint, and then you got to clear. It's a pain in the ass and bake it. Tried that. It just wouldn't stay on the grips. They would come off, I guess, under sweat or DEET from insect repellent on my hands, whatever. That just did not work. I tried doing the same to CZ's own plastic hard grips, and they did not handle the baking process very well, and they all warped. So that didn't fucking work either. So wood is looking like the best option if I want to make this look kind of oddly future retroistic. Maybe like a Fallout pistol. So yeah, that about does it for the SP01. Oh, let's talk about these magazines. These are Metgar. These are supposed to be the drop free, and they do. My only complaint with these are the springs are a little weak feeling. Like, I've never had a failure with them, but the springs just do not feel me like with confidence. Like, they feel way weaker than like my other pistol magazine springs. I also have some Metgar standard 16 round CZ75 mags. Those work excellent. I've never had a flaw with those, and those have like a much stronger spring tension. So I don't know what that's about. Also, the original surplus, I think, B model CZ mags. I have a few of those. Those work in here. They're all right, but they're, 15 rounds capacity. I like the 19 when I'm in the woods because 9mm is not the strongest cartridge. I mean, it's not weak. Don't let the FUDs tell you this thing is weak. It's not. It's not. It's a great handgun cartridge for doing everything. It's just it needs all the help it can get. So 19 of them is nice to have. And yeah, and that does this. This is SP. Patreon will be up shortly. Just got to have the time to fucking set it up. It's a pain in the ass. Everything else will be. I got some more content on the way. I'm building a new chicken coop for my fucking laying hens. I'm getting 4 Polish laying hens. They have the cool floof on the top of their head, and I might be either getting a Polish rooster or a Bard something. They're a black English chicken. There's a big rooster that one of my friends has, and I might buy from him. And these will be my laying chickens, and I'll have the one rooster in his own area cornered off so he can't fertilize the eggs. And he'll provide protection in case of a raccoon or a skunk or something tries to get in the pen. Well, he'll fight it off long enough for me to intervene. But other than that, yeah,